Okay, we got to get the technical part out of the way right away, and I'd like to thank everyone for staying for the last and best presentation. As they say at the ball game, I'm batting cleanup here. Okay, the story here is Galleon Gold. We've been around for about a little over 3 years now. We're just on the far end of town. If you want to take a stroll out there, grab a coffee at Horton's, and 10 minutes later, you'll be at our property there. It'll be a big sign, and it'll look just like what you see on the screen there. Now the next one, obviously everybody's got this one. It's so small you can't read it, and we won't have a test at the end on it. Okay, Timmins, okay, the camp, the best camp. The other night I got to stand up here and say, and I believe this is the best camp in the world. I've been to probably about 12 or 15 different mining camps around the world, built mines and whatnot, and you couldn't ask for a better place to find gold, number one, and find the right people to actually work with on building a project. Now, we were here back in the early 20s, built a mine called Black Fox, had it in production by 2008, I believe, and we came back again 3 years because I knew of a property on the south end of town that had never been mined, and it's right next to Lakeshore West. So what did we do? We started with a database now of about 550 core holes, 260,000 meters, and out of all those holes, we have 100% hit. We have not missed gold yet. Well, of course, the geologists make sure they don't miss it. They want to keep their jobs, but they always, they want to put numbers on the books. So anyway, what we did is we took it through the planning stages from the drilling to pre-fees, PEA studies, and we said, okay, now it's time to bulk sample. Let's go prove it. Let's prove what we've been telling everybody, that we have gold down there, we can mine it, we know what the costs are, and how we proceed with a full-scale project. So this will be about 3 years in the making when we get to the point where we're actually saying, hey, we got a producing mine. So watch for the next year or two when I get up and see how this project advances. Now, you can't do it without your people. Now, the management team, part of them, I've got them right back here. Raise your hand, ladies. Okay, they've helped us out in the booth, and they said that was the hottest booth that they've ever run. And I said, you mean like everybody was running to you because of gold? And they were sweating. Go, yeah, both. But anyway, you got to have a good management team. And the management team that's with me also, Ryan Lougheed, I'm not sure if he's in the room here. He was with me on Black Fox from day one. I met him on the first day in 2002, I believe it was. And he said, Dave, I'm an environmental engineer. I'm looking for a job. And I said, well, I have one for you. Then I called him 3.5 years ago and I said, what are you doing, Ryan? He goes, well, I'm working. I said, I've got another job for you. We can build another mine? I said, yeah, we're going to do that. Anyway, this project has a lot of blue sky. You start with investors. The biggest one, obviously, everybody knows Eric Sprott. And we've got retail market management with myself and my partners here. And then you got public float. Not a lot of shares outstanding, 65 million. And when you look at our market cap of roughly about 17 million, that's really based on the actual shares outstanding. And if you have a convertible debenture in there, they don't count that. So what would our market cap really be? Probably 22, 23 million today. Now, this is the actual layout of it. If you start on the right, let's look at the right side of the screen here. You'll see the Hislop mine. You'll see the Black Fox and Stock Complex. And I got just a quick note on the Black Fox. It used to be called Glimmer. Somebody put a little ramp down there, Exol and Glimmer, I believe it was. I came along and bought that in 2002. And we went down to Toronto to work the deal. Gold price was $260 US an ounce. I think the parity US dollar was about even at that time. And to lock the deal up, I had to pull a check out and write a check to the guys there, Exol and Glimmer, Bo McCluskey and the group, for $250,000. And I didn't have time for the company to write it, so I wrote it. Boy, that was the best deal I had ever cut. I bought my first gold mine until my wife saw the check go through the bank the next day. Man, I got that phone call and she said, what the hell are you doing with our money? But it's a really good deal, honey. Oh my God, I thought I was getting divorced when I got home, but it all worked out. But anyway, we built that project, and as you come through the camp there, you'll see the Bell Creek, that's important, along with the West Mine. And then you see Hollinger, McIntyre, everybody knows that end of it. And then you come to this little project called West Cache. We've got 10,000 hectares. Right in the main guts of it's about 6,000 hectares of it, and I'll blow that up. And you see where the yellow spot is, that's where the 550 core holes or 250,000 meters of drilling is. So we can say we're only about 8 or 10% drilled. We got 1.56 million ounces of gold. That's just great. Well, what could it be? Okay, we can dream now. We've actually got the first numbers on the books. We're advancing the project, and if we step out, we don't want any misses, by the way. I told the geologists that when we step out, we don't want misses. But chances are we're going to advance this ore body as we go with time. So when you go out there, what you'll see is the sign. And we said we did the PEA study. It came out very well. And what I always tell somebody is you don't build a mine on a PEA study. It's a snapshot in time. It just says, hey, we've got gold, we've got great economics, now move it forward and better the project. So we've done that, and now we need the next step, and that's called the pre-feasibility study on the project. Now, if you look at the numbers here, you can pick your numbers on cutoff grades and whatnot. We used 1.6. Could you drop the cutoff with the advance in the gold price? Sure, you could. But if you add the two numbers between indicated and measured, which are not supposed to in the market, you're not supposed to have them together, but it's 1.56 million ounces there. Now, these are the numbers that were turned out. 378 million at a 5% discount rate. I know they're really small numbers, but the highlights is the production rate will be about 2,400 tons a day. Again, this is on the PEA only. We'll tell you what they really are here in a year or so when we actually build the full project. But it shows to be about an 85,000 ounce producer. Cash costs will be actually under 1,000, fully loaded under 1,000. And the direct costs will be about $815 per ounce. So what I was looking for is, do we have the right numbers to make a project go forward? And the answer was yes on this one. So then when you fast forward and say, voila, from when we started at $1,500 gold, we're seeing US dollar-wise something that's sitting in the 2370, I think, right now. So this chart, look toward the bottom of it, and it says 918 million Canadian, and if you undiscount it, we're over 1.1 billion after costs and capital on this project. And we just started. So, have we got a lot of help? Sure, we've got a lot of help from the gold price, but we'll be advancing the project and showing you, what can this project really be. If we're in an airplane, let's say, and we're flying around and we're looking down, if you could superimpose the ore bodies to it, what you'll see is the far right side, that's what's called the East Zone extension. And people in town may know a guy named Patrick Dwyer. I mean, he had the bus company, the taxi company, that sort of thing. We went to him 3 years ago, and his family had this property out there. It's never been mined either. His grandfather put some drill holes in it, and he hit gold. But he never sold it, and he never auctioned out. But Lisa, my partner here, called him up and said, hey, would you talk to Dave? So I talked to him, and Patrick says, hey, why do you want my property? Everybody comes to me, the Placer Dome guys do and all this. And I said, because there's gold on your property. He goes, well, nobody's ever told me that. They always tell me they want to explore and see if it's there. And I said, well, I've got the drill holes and I'll send them to you. Your grandfather drilled them and he hit gold there. He goes, I'll be darned, I didn't know that. So we did a deal. So it turned out to be pretty good. We started drilling some on there on the last part of our program, and we definitely have the structures, and there is a lot of gold there. And then you look on the kind of pinkish red area, the East Zone. These are big shears. We're talking anywhere from 3 meters to 30 meter wide shears, and that's going to be a very robust zone. And then you see the West Zone. Now, there's yellow in between. We just haven't drilled there. It's all connected together, so it's going to be one big zone. And then you have what's called the secondary access area over to the left. You see that? That's the West Deep. They hit that quite a while ago, about 1,000 meters deep, but they didn't know what it was. But we followed it up dip, and our geologists hit it on the first hole. And if you go to the right side where it says main mine access, that'll be our first ramp access in that area. They set up where the actual West Zone was. They drilled one 200-meter hole over and hit what's called the number 9 structure. And that was very important because the main system is quartz feldspar porphyries, and you look over on the actual main number 9 structure there, And that is a sediment-hosted volcanic unit. And that's important because they're two different units, but gold recovery-wise, they're the same. You just have to handle them geologically a little bit different. So we're going to actually start on the number 9 structure, which is on the right side first with the ramp system. And to do this, we put a ramp down, and why are we doing that? We're going to go down and we're going to prove up the development costs, prove up the ground conditions, prove up what it costs to mine it, and what the grades are, and take the risk out of the project. So we're targeting 86,500 tons at about an 8-gram gold grade for 22,000 ounces of gold, recovered, sold probably about 20. Now, are we going to make money on this project? Probably not, but we'll get all the answers we need for the pre-feasibility and feasibility study. Now, if this thing will start up correctly here, and there it goes. This isn't automated, this is more like pre-feasibility work. You see the ramp being developed, you see the little truck coming down, you see the spiral ramp, you see the purple vent rays going back up. This is all very detailed. It's roughly about 2,500 meters of work, which we'll use subcontractors in here to do this. You see the brown headings coming across. We got all muck bays, diamond drill stations, everything targeted here. The first green one is the first 20,000 ton stope to be dropped, to be blasted open stoping, exactly like what they're doing at the West Mine next door. Then we'll drop down, we'll do a second stope, then a third stope, we'll concrete, aggregate sand and cement, we'll backfill all of these. And this will give us the data we need. So this is the actual first step towards saying, you know, do we have a mine here? Well, I'm going to tell you we're probably going to have a mine, but this is going to prove it, and that's why we're doing this. So that's just an animated version, but it's very detailed on the design work of it. So again, we'll have 4 stopes. We'll produce 86,500 tons. This will take about 15 months to do this project. Now, this is the layout that was actually presented within all the environmental documents. I might add, we started with the environmental work 3 years ago before we even turned any of this work out, because I knew from building a mine at Black Fox it was going to be a 3-year run to get all the documentation together, submit to the ministry, and then work with our partners, First Nations, and actually have a permit in your hand to be able to do this project. So anyway, on the left side you see a little line with an arrow. It says kilometers. It should say that the coffee shop's 13 kilometers away. But that's where Horton's is, and you come down the highway, and we own property on both sides of the highway again. We'll be bringing the power in from the main transmission line into the actual parking lot area where the substations will be, and then we'll bring it across to the underground. And then you'll have to put some water ponds in to decant water to clean it up when you bring it out of the mine. There's not a lot of water there, but you still have to handle it. We'll have stockpiles, organic stockpiles, overburden stockpiles, and that sort of thing. But it'll be 1.34 million on the bonding number once we get approval here, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks from the ministry to go ahead with it and get our consultations finished. And then you can see where the yellow or the stope would be on that side. So with that, what we've got is the milestones. So where are we? Okay, we've got the closure plan submitted, everything's into the ministry. They say they're done, they've made their comments, we commented back with Story Environmental. And now we're on to the designs, and then we'll start releasing, let's say in 8 weeks, contracts for the surface work, all the timber work, all the road work, and all the box cuts to get ready for the decline ramp. So anyway, it's going to be a fast-moving project, but look for about 8 to 12 weeks from now, we'll be rocking and rolling right outside of town here for that. But the other one I'd like to say is we're working with the First Nations, and the main ones are Matagami, Flying Post, Brunswick House, TTN, and Métis. So we've got 5 groups we're working with. They're all great to work with. We've had great success so far bringing them in as partners on this project. And the final end of it is once we get the closure plan, we post the $1.35 million on the bonding end of it, and we receive a formal notice. That would be from George Perrier's office here. And we finish our consultations with the First Nations. Then we can progress onto the project. There's a lot of steps we go through with sub-permits and different things, building permits in town, but all of those are in the works right now. And some of the people have said, well, geez, we've never heard of you guys. Well, we're new in town, but we're very quiet about what we're doing. And once we get underground and we start seeing the gold, putting our hands on the gold, we'll make a big splash in town and have an open house, and everybody can come out and take a look at it. So anyway, the team here, again, myself, and you can see the rest of the team here. Like I said, Lisa Buchan and the group here, they've been instrumental in setting everything up when they get us in and out of Timmins. They're from Toronto. We have one from Rouen, over here. Our CFO, I thought she was still here, but she went home, I guess, this morning. But that was her first visit to Timmins. But our directors here, Mario Calantonio, some of you may know him. He ran an engineering office his whole career here. He's from Timmins. And I ran into him the other night at the airport, and I said, hey, you missed the last board meeting. He says, well, yeah, I was on vacation, I'm sorry. I said, well, that's okay, you can miss it because you had to take your wife to Rome. Well, I haven't been to Rome, but I'm glad he got to go. But anyway, Michael Hobart, he's a lawyer, and Thomas Kaufman, these guys are all from Toronto. And Dick Nana, some people ask me where Dick was. Well, he's still around, he's on our board. He was in charge of finding the gold at Black Fox, and he's been the cheerleader on this project. And then JT O'Neill, he's a finance guy with us. So with that, the thing says 0 on time, and I didn't want to stretch it out, but I really appreciate everybody's attention or audience here. And take a look at Galleon Gold, and hopefully we can be a good environmental mining steward in the Timmins camp here. Thank you.